Welcome to The Life, a show whose viewers can say, I live fully empowered. I am your host, Dr. TJ Dickson, and on today's show, my co-host Oanh Heiser and our special guest, Gerry Phaneuf, will discuss going to the core to put people in the right place. Let's get started. So welcome, Oanh. Can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, well, the name of my business is CORE, and it's spelled C-O-U-R-E. And the parenthesis U is very intentional because I believe it's about going to the core to discover you. Without that self-awareness, we really don't grow and develop individually to truly make that shift in our life, to impact our life. And then take it a step further to impact organizations that we work with and then our own community. What I focus on is organizational development in 3 areas: hiring the right people, putting the right people in the right place, and then teamwork, utilizing the tool StrengthsFinder, which is an assessment test that really allows you to see your top 5 natural talents. And I coach you how to use that so you may live that fulfilled, because in those lanes, we really live abundantly, organically to who we are, to our true self and our true talents. And that brings effortlessness, enjoyment, fulfillment in so many ways. So really, I believe it's just not about the tool, but it's really the implementation and the application of it, because without that, we really don't make that paradigm shift to make an impact in our life and the lives of others, and that ripple effect that I like to talk about.
Awesome. And welcome, Gerry.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. It's great to be here.
Same question. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Well, for about 40 years, I've been involved in career education. I've served as Director of Career Services at Creighton University, University of Nebraska-Lincoln, Texas Tech University. But I've also had the opportunity to work with adults in transition. I've also worked with individuals with special needs. And most recently, the last 10 years, I've been working primarily with the high school age students on this very important issue of career awareness and finding the right place, the right fit for their talents and interests. And I've been always fascinated by the fact that so few people seem to achieve job satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment in their work. And so when I started recognizing that there were some issues here that really that needed some attention, we weren't doing a good enough job of helping enough individuals have satisfying work lives. And in this day and age, when there's so many wonderful opportunities available, I mean, no time in history have people had choices to make. There's no reason for it, really. It's really more of to me, it's more of an information issue, an awareness issue. And we just haven't given people enough roadmaps, clear roadmaps to get where they want to go. So that's been my focus for the last 10 years.
That's awesome. So why'd you choose this line of work?
Well, I've always been interested in helping individuals. I think that was always my core motivation. And I just needed to find a way to help. I experimented with a few things in social services, but it wasn't quite the right fit. When I found higher education and career services, I really found my niche. So back in the late 70s, I began to really focus on working with students and helping them develop life plans, basically. And so I think it's been just that passion, to help people get what I have. I have a really exciting, fascinating life. I love it. And I wish that more people could get up in the morning and want to do what they're doing. And so that's been my passion.
That is awesome. Awesome. And Oanh, why did you choose your line of work? You have a fascinating story too.
Yeah, mine is twofold. One was my own personal story, and one was what I saw when I worked with an organization working with youth aging out of the system, foster youth aging out of the system. My story started with, I went through some midlife crisis, a major transition in life, and at that time I decided, so what is really meaningful? What is purposeful? I didn't want to just keep doing the next thing and that just came to me, and really wanted to be intentional now, because I wanted my life to mean something, because of that transition was so hard on me that for the first time I wanted to really follow my heart and not necessarily what was given to me the next step. So I decided to look at Gallup's StrengthsFinder to see what they could be, because to be honest with you, before that I was at 40, and before that I had never taken any test or even knew what my natural gifts, abilities, or talents are, which is really sad. And this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, because no one should wait till 40 to unpack that. But anyway, I looked at it, and my number 2 was developer. And one of the things that Gallup suggested was, coaching could be something very fulfilling for you. And I thought to myself, oh goodness, my life is a mess. How in the world am I to help anybody else? But I thought it was really interesting. So I kept an open mind and I explored it. And I really do believe that, the Gallup tool is the foundation for you to launch, because these are where you're going to be fulfilled in your natural talents and organic to you. But it's discovery and exploration that really fulfills that niche. What is it exactly that fit, So I went and explored and took some coaching classes and really found it did come really easy to me. And it really brought a lot of joy. It was very fulfilling to me. But it's what I saw happen to other people. When I coached them, I felt that they were very blessed, and there was a lot of enlightenment to them, and that brought me a lot of joy. So it's, I'm like, there's a lot of good stuff here. So that's when I really became passionate about the Strength Finder tool. But at another level, when I went to go work for an organization that helped foster youth age out of the system, I also saw that the youth were struggling with the same thing. Like me in my 40s, and them in their 19 to 21 as they're aging out. They didn't quite know what it is that gifts and talents that they could offer the workforce and the world in general. And so I started utilizing my own strengths to convince them to come in. So really it does always starts with us, and then how it affects that ripple effect. But since they had heard a lot of damaging messages, transferring from home to home and aging out without being adopted, a lot of them were kind of stuck. And so I had to really use my own strengths to help them believe that they had something to offer and that to come in to see me, because a lot of them would make appointments, and 3 to 5 appointments later, they would show up or they would cancel. So I used the woo, which is really to win them over to believe that they really had something to offer, and a connectedness in a deeper way, build that relationship with them and connect the dots, what I've seen them do and how that transferred to the workplace. And when I started finally meeting with them, I would pull out what I saw inside their core and share those strengths with them. And I noticed it did help them start to move. It built that confidence. The seed finally planted, and then it started to sprout. And the program was a success. We did a very unique training program, piloted a very different type of program, because it's not a traditional method that would have worked with these youth. And they all got placed, except for one that ran away. That's the only one we couldn't help, but you have to physically be there. But I really just saw how it benefited me, and then how I was able to use it to affect the organization that I work with, and overall, the community, the workplace, and everywhere that the youth went into. So it's truly a ripple effect that I was talking about.
That is awesome, and you do great work.
Thank you.
So, Gerry, you
Yes.
hired Juan to come in to work with your organization. Tell us why.
Well, actually, Juan and I started working together back when I was working at Creighton University, and she had come to me with some ideas. At the time, you were a graphic designer, graphic artist, and she was trying to come up with some ideas for a newspaper. And so I threw out the idea of a career newspaper that would explore the world of work, cover job trends, career paths, and so on. She got excited about it, and that's where we began to see that she had the same passion I had for helping other people, and she was putting her work into the visual materials. But from that, as that was very much a success story, we began to move into other areas. I left Creighton University, started working on my own business, dealing with career resources for students. And all along the way, I'd lean on her because she was such a great consultant. She has great vision. She's got creative ideas, but she also has that attention for detail that I just need, because I don't have that particular component. And so, she gets excited with me about the same topic. She shares the same passion. And so now in my recent position at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, where I teach a course in human dynamics in the arts, I've brought Juan in to speak to students who are future managers, leaders, directors in the field of arts organizations. And so her topic just fits in beautifully with people who will someday be involved in recognizing talent, developing talent, rewarding talent. And her presentations are some of the best that we have. The students love it. She comes every year. And she has a very entertaining way of delivering complex information. And she's very, very good at it. So that's been our relationship. So she's been my partner in my business enterprises as I create new products, especially the new product I have with the high schools. It's called Imagine It. And it's an attempt to use images to inspire, inform, educate young people about the opportunities that exist out there. Most young people don't see the world of work. It's very difficult to see all the occupations that exist. So that's a whole new attempt to present career information to high school students. That's in about 31 high schools now, but Oanh's been very involved with me in terms of, because she's really good at the social media stuff, where I'm kind of weak. She understands young people and how they like to receive information. So she provides a tremendous amount of consulting to me and advice on how to shape the information, how to make it acceptable and interesting to young people.
Awesome.
So it's been a great relationship.
Fantastic. So Oanh, tell us, why is it important to put people in the right place?
Absolutely. Besides affecting that bottom dollar for an organization, but there's many other factors. For me, the biggest one is if we are not engaged, we're not living that fulfilled life and our purpose, right? So that's an even bigger issue that I personally think. In fact, even Gallup thinks so, because they surveyed globally the workplace, and this is the chart of what they found. So according to Gallup, 63% of the global workforce is disengaged. And of the 100% pie, 24% of it is actively disengaged, which means they are actually sharing with other people how maybe unhappy they are at their workplace, which is really detrimental to an organization. And then only 13% are engaged. To me, that is the number I would love to see change, because to me that is no one's living fulfilled life and no one is benefiting, no one's impacting each other's lives. So overall, number-wise, what does that cost globally, organizations? It's about roughly $370 billion annually. So could you imagine if we could capitalize on the engagement and put that dollar back into our economy, what that impact, that ripple impact that I keep talking about? Okay, so let's say if we do focus on engagement, what happens to an organization when engagement is there? According to Gallup, profitability increased by 22%, productivity increases by 21%, earning per share growth 47% increase, customer rating improves by 10%, and then what goes down are reductions in quality defects, 41%. The high turnover for organization with really high turnover goes down by 25%. Organization with low turnover goes down even higher to 65%. And decrease of accident, 50%, and decrease in absentee, 37%. So these numbers speak for themselves. It really does impact an organization.
Wow, that is significant. Jerry, do you have something to add to what Oanh has talked about?
Well, while she looks at organizations, I tend to look at the individuals. And I have seen this to be true in my 40-year career. I haven't seen that. In the U.S., we do a little better than globally. About 70% of our workforce is disengaged. So if we have 7 out of 10 people who are not engaged in their work, these have profound effects on the individuals. Mm-hmm. And a recent study at Ohio State University showed that if you hate your job in your 20s, you're probably going to have health issues in your 40s. Because of the stress involved in being dissatisfied, the sense of dissatisfaction, the lack of fulfillment, everyone wants to feel like they're important, that they matter. Mm-hmm. And when they don't have that button pushed, it wears on them over time. It may not be apparent when you're 21 years old, but by the time you're 30 and 35 and all the pressures of life begin to pile up, mm-hmm. I think if you're not happy and really engaged with what you're doing, it becomes a slow drip of dissatisfaction that wears on you. It affects your relationships, it affects how you view the world, your whole outlook on life. And we pay a price for that. And organizations pay a price for that. But my focus is on the individual, because to get to this sense of engagement isn't that difficult to do. It's sometimes difficult to understand because we get a lot of information thrown at us about the world of work and the pressures of getting work jobs, and especially in a recession period where people feel they have to hang on to things. And but it's about trying to find what your passions are, your interests are, because there are clues there that will open doors to a more satisfying choice. I think we just haven't done a very good job of helping individuals understand how those interests you have as a young person, those passions you have, can be translated into real choices. So I think the impact on organizations is tremendous. I mean, all the things she's mentioned, the absenteeism, the bottom dollar, the profitability of organizations. So you get basically 3 people moving an organization forward out of every 10. You know, it's a lot of weight to be pushing. And after again, sometimes you wear those people out, trying to make the organization improve. But just imagine if we can make a dent in that population and that percentage, if we could move that dial off of the 70%, the impact would be enormous in a very positive way. So I spent a lot of time helping individuals find the right organization, because it's not just about having the right passion, it's also about recognizing your talent. And that's where she spends a lot of her time, is helping individuals find out what it is their strength, are their strengths that they can apply to this passion of theirs that will make for a success story. And we know this because successful people tell us that. They tell us they found their passion and they found their talent, and the two came together, and the rest was heaven. So it's about finding those 2 elements, and we don't spend enough time finding the passion piece. So.
Absolutely, totally agree. So why do you think there is this issue?
Well, I think part of it's the system we're in. The school system is the first place, and while there are a lot of reasons for this, but one of the reasons is we just don't put the resources into career services. Every counselor in a high school has about 500 students that they work with, a huge caseload, and they have to deal with all kinds of issues. So career issues become one of the smaller pieces of their time. Maybe 5% of their time is spent on career issues. So here's a student trying to get motivated to learn, but can't figure out how the learning connects to the little dreams and fantasies they have, but the counselors and teachers don't have the time to really spend on this issue. So they're overloaded. They've got a lot of issues they're dealing with, and we just haven't been able to give students real good roadmaps. And it's been a sore spot with me over the years that my profession hasn't done a better job of presenting information to them in an exciting kind of way. I mean, most of us fall into our careers, those who are in our 30% group, have found it oftentimes by accident. I found mine by accident in a cafeteria overhearing a conversation. And I said, oh, what is that all about? I mean, it shouldn't happen that way, because what I became, a career counselor, was very much available, was there. There was a pathway to that career. I just couldn't see it. So, but I think it's an issue with, in the culture too, we're still so much job focused as opposed to career focused. Yes. We want to create jobs. Well, creating jobs is nice. We all need jobs. But to really be engaged in your work, you have to be satisfied with it. And to be satisfied with your work, you have to find something that means something to you, that expresses who you are as a person.
Absolutely. So how do you prepare individuals for the employer?
Well, the first thing I do is try and sharpen their focus on their main interests and their passions. That can be through exploring their hobbies or activities, things that they do on their free time, the things they're motivated to do. Those are indications that if you're doing something where you're motivated to get up and do it, that's an indication that must interest you, that you need it in some way. We're not difficult to understand as human beings. If we're motivated, we take action. If we're not motivated, we don't take action. So I try and find out where those motivation buttons are for an individual, and begin to look at how those activities they're engaged in can be shaped into choices that are very real. So then it's providing a series of maybe some reading, some research, some experiences, part-time and shadowing, any kind of experience where you can get in touch with that particular occupation or career path. So it's both exploration and then actually implementing that dream or fantasy you have about the world of work, and tasting it and sampling it in some way.
Awesome. So, Gerry, for you to continue to be successful at the work that you do and grow your business, what roles would you need to hire for?
Oh, so many. I need so many. I've got big visions. I think my key positions would be something in a web, social media kind of world, somebody who has that kind of talent. The other part would be in the marketing, in sales perhaps, expanding the nature of the business and the customer base. So it's looking at 2 basic people that I need, or skill sets that I need to make this organization, in this Imagine project I'm working on, since it's so visual and uses smartphone technology and things that Luan is such an expert on. So those are the kind of talent groups that I need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Juan, you are going to now take a look at Gerry's strengths and see how they work well for him, and then how he can use those in order to start hiring people and putting people in the right place, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So first of all, I just kind of want to explain a little bit about Strength Finder. Gallup surveyed about roughly 1.8 million people over 30 years to create these clusters, the 34 cluster, they call it themes, of natural talents. And then under those 34, they put 4 leadership domain if you were to create a project to take it effortlessly from A to Z. Okay, and this makes a lot of sense. You're going to need leaders in strategic thinking, right? You need to have a plan. And then you're going to need leaders in relationship, which means you need to bring the people together, the glue that holds the people together. And then influencing, you're going to need someone to help market it, be able to sell it, be able to share it. And then last, execute, to really make sure it takes it to full fruition, right? To walk it out. So of those 34 themes, they put it under those leadership domains. So what I've done here is I've mapped Gerry's top 5 natural talents. And this makes so much sense knowing who he is. He's this great visionary and this big heart that just loves people and be able to share his vision with people. And that's exactly what his strength says. So under strategic thinking, he has the ideation. He's got tons of ideas to how to go about it. But the beauty is it's paired with strategic, which means he can see the best method or pattern to go about it. So, and then the second leadership style he has is relationship. So he's able to not only think out what's best and creatively think about all those different ideas of how to go about it, he's able to share it with people because he has really heavy people strengths too. He's a developer. He can see where his organization is going to go, including people, so he can align that, right? And then he has connectedness, which means he's bigger purpose, okay? And he's able to connect with each individual deeply. And he's got developers, so he's able to not only connect with them, but then truly get deeply what it is that really moves them. That's why he's great at what he does. And then really propel them. And then includer, which means he's not going to leave anyone out. He's going to make sure everyone's part of the team. So this vision, he's a visionary, but really be able to bring people along in a very warm, accepting way, very organic way. So if he was to hire now, so he's got these 2 domains really covered really well. I would really look at the influencing and the executing, which is perfect because what he described are those 2. Those were really the 2 where I would hire from. Let's take, for example, the marketing person. Okay, so you would want someone with the influencing theme, especially like maybe Woo, where they're able to really truly win people over to, especially the awesome cause that you have, and then probably, belief would be also a really good one, which is under executing, which means they really believe in the cause and they will work at it and get it done no matter what because they're so strong on what it's about, right? And that's kind of what we share, and that's why we came together. So, and then maybe responsibility, where really this person's going to get it done, and then maybe communication, because to be able to sell, you have to articulate through all the different filters, right? And communication can naturally do that. So that would be a great combination for a salesperson.
Sure. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the way to get at those is they take the Strengths Finder. Is that what they do?
Yeah, and you can't require it. You can only ask them, to take it. And when they do, you can look at it and see how does it pair with you because you're part of the team. And if you had another staff member, I would do the same. And your goal is really depending on their position to align that, but then also align, making sure to fill out this domain chart so that your team is cohesive in taking something from A to Z. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the weaknesses of a lot of entrepreneurs is they think they can do it all.
Absolutely.
Because they've got this big vision and they think they can master every piece of it.
Yeah.
When really, as the organization grows, you realize you can't do everything. You've got to rely on other people to build a team, and
absolutely. We can only go so far with what we can do as one, right? Yeah. The power is really in being able to build that effective teamwork and unified vision, right? So it's important to make sure we align. It's not that one person is better than the other. It's alignment. To truly what is it that fulfill that person, and then when that perfect alignment happens, it's just effortless, and we enjoy it. It's fun, and we're doing life authentic to ourselves, but really we're impacting in so many ways, our own lives, other lives. It's just a ripple effect.
That's great information. I mean, this is you've pinned me down really well. So the feedback is terrific, and I think your understanding of how the components fit together extremely valuable.
And it's so crucial because, you know, without that, you're really kind of going backward instead of forward. You know, and when you hire, especially an entrepreneur, you're hiring, you're wanting more help. You're not wanting to go backward. You're wanting to go forward to that next level. And I've learned, even as my own entrepreneur, like, yeah, you're right. I used to think I could do all the different hats, but I only have so much time in the day. But the truth is, I've learned as I coach teams, that is really that, you know, big mindset of everyone's opinions to the best method of doing things, that collaborative effort, really, I find again and again is what brings out the best product.
Yeah.
Yes, even if you gave birth to it and you think you know best, I've learned when I do learn how to work collectively, I get ideas that I never thought of, and it makes my product even better.
And don't you find with that disengaged workforce that a lot of times it has to do with the fact their talents aren't being utilized?
Absolutely.
They're not in the right place, not in the right box.
Absolutely.
It's all about that fit. And if an employer or manager can recognize that this
Yes.
talent set needs to be over here and not over here,
Yeah.
I found that true in my career. Right? I find employers coming to the campus, recruiters, who shouldn't have been recruiting. They have no
Right.
personality whatsoever. The students were turned off by them. And these are large organizations that were spending millions of dollars to recruit new talent. We're sending the wrong people to do that. And the
Well-
result was they weren't getting the top students.
Exactly, but then think about that person. They're probably struggling inside, internally, and it's that, you know, you talked about eating up, then how it affects you.
This is an awesome conversation. So we have one more quick question. You have about 30 seconds to answer, Gerry. We've talked a lot about the workforce, and the millennials are coming into the workforce, and now there's starting to be conflict because they don't do work the same way as the baby boomers. What advice do you have for the employers?
The millennials are a very different part of the workforce. They are used to multitasking. They want things quicker. They've got to be happy with what they're doing. You've got to communicate with them constantly. You've got to get them involved. They do not want to be, put off to the side for 5 years, wait your turn kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And because they're going to have so many more choices, the workforce, the workplace is opening up to them, they're going to change. They're going to move on.
Yep.
If you don't make sure that they're satisfied and challenged, and these people want to be challenged. They're a very educated group of people who are who want to work. They're task oriented. They're used to doing a lot of multiple things. So you've got to keep them engaged, and you've got to keep them interested, and you have to communicate with them.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a wonderful discussion, and we could go on and on, but unfortunately our time is just about up. So thank you, Juan, and thank you, Gerry, for coming
Great
here
being
on
here.
the show.
Yes.
And that does it for today's show. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you for watching. If you would like to know more about putting people in the right place, check out the Life Facebook page, and may you live fully empowered.